Hello and welcome to episode 6 in series 2, the Power On series. In this episode we'll be looking at the short locator. Last episode we looked at the advanced IC identifier. So Manib, what can you tell me about ABI's short locator?
Okay, so the short locator is one of the many instruments that comes with the ATM, the advanced test module, which is part of the BoardMaster. So this is a very simple instrument, but however it can be used in many different ways, many different applications.
Okay, so what are some of those applications?
Sure, so let's say we have a PCB and this PCB has many different connectors on them. So we can use a short locator to see whether these pins are operating as they should be, whether the tracks are fine, or we may find that some of the solder has come apart over time. And then what we can do is we can then go back and reflow this connector, then come back with the short locator, measure that these pins are connected as they should be, and then use it in the field as it should be.
Okay, so you mentioned in the field, is this something that you should do just once, or is it something you could regularly do?
For example, we have customers from the military, from aerospace, from the mining industry, rail and transport, renewable energy, from many different industries. We find that their PCBs are usually been in the field for a long time. So they have legacy PCBs, 20, 30 years old, and over time these components can degrade, these PCBs can degrade. And what we can do is we can use the short locator. Let's say we have a good working board, we can measure the impedance on this good working board, and then use that to compare the measurements from a board that's been in the field for a long time. And then we can use that as like a comparison test. And then, as you mentioned, we could use this as a way of doing predictive and corrective maintenance.
Okay, fantastic. So is this something that you could use a custom connector and plug that into a test rig? Is that something you could do?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, if you do it that way, you could do many different tests at the same time.
So checking regularly, is there something that you see changing with that short locator? Okay,
so you may find, if you test an old board compared to a newer one, you may find that the impedance increases, and then that's like an indication that that PCB or that specific component may need replacing now, or maybe sometime in the future.
Okay, so you don't even need for that part to break down. You can sort of see that it might break down next year, and that's something that you can regularly do with simple with a short locator, just seeing the impedance increase.
And of course, there's many other applications. For example, we can use the power pins. Let's say we have an IC, and we need to identify where the VCC is, where the ground is. We can have one probe touching our power pins, the other probe going along all these pins of this IC, and then we can use that to identify where our ground VCC is.
Okay. All right, thank you, Manib. So that was episode 6 on the short locator. Last episode, if you want to check that out, that was on the advanced IC identifier. Next episode, we're looking at the EEPROM verifier.